to find out that what happens with something like that is you actually have to go to a broker, and then we don't want to go.
Oh, no way in hell. No.
This guy said at work when it takes 2 days.
I've got to talk to Katie before the meeting starts.
Huh?
He had a price a year ago. We don't have enough money to maintain it. Yeah. But so she goes up on the road and gets on the podium, what, 30, 20 times a day? I know, he's like, it's like, the mayor goes, you had a radio. They are together. We're gonna, on the county facade agreement, I heard them start capturing Sartell or negotiating, they weren't going to. So we can approve, either throw it out tonight, or we can approve it. Either we throw it out, or we approve the word in with the county. Well, I was just told that because they were holding out, they were not gonna do any adjustments in pricing. Maybe Sartell's not paying like old bucks, and all they, I was told they are. Well, then of course they want it done, but they said, oh, price, you wanna just wait a month and.
I would like to see a little bit better pricing.
And that's what Soccer Rapids and Sartell are saying, so we should approve the price, if we want to approve the wording, we can, I guess it's up to you guys, I don't care either way. I just don't wanna sign this and all of a sudden we don't get as much in the rate. I don't think they will.
So I think the biggest thing there is the trigger, the wording price.
Yeah, I mean, they've been pushing more and more on those.
That was my question, you know, when that came up.
They already did this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of it was already in there 3 years ago.
We needed more inventory. I would have liked to see an increase every year instead of 3 years.
Maybe we just say, you wanna table it for 1 month to we get, see what the other cities in the county say, maybe some thought. I don't wanna say South Rapids Sartell, but I wouldn't be opposed to that, I know they wanna get it done, but we need to be paying the same rate per mile, that means everybody. So that's why we put all.
Technically, you're
Well, Sartell's very limited. 29 is probably. That's why Stock Rapids. Yeah, so that's why they have an agreement for all that, so, you know, maybe, I have no trouble with the game. What are we? It's gotta be more important, because every road is double.
right.
If we take, you guys take over, I'm not gonna. That's why they're fighting. If we give more money, let's give more money. If you guys want it, if you guys wanna see it before we approve it, then we table it and negotiate.
My opinion is, there should be everything else increases every year.
And they're putting more stuff in there. At the end of the day, we should be getting the same price.
Right. Yeah, both of you. Doubled. Oh, for us or for Sartell, Stock Rapids? Or for us. But it depends on. All right, it's 5:30. I'd like to call this meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all four say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Excuse me, I didn't see anything as far as the approving the hire. Is that just something we're, of the officer? The,
Of Courtney Lind?
yeah,
Was this from last month where we had approved Dana and,
we'd approved two, but Courtney was a potential.
For the last, when we approved the two, Dana and Brett, we had to wash him, so that's why we are moving on to the next person on the list.
No.
Okay,
That was approval of the background.
Yes, yep.
okay.
all right, motion's been made to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second,
Is there any further discussion? If not, all four say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Mayor's comments, open forum. If anyone would like to speak, come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Jim Ozier, 320 Birch Drive.
Jim,
I see-
you're on.
Yes, I'm on the agenda, but
Okay.
item,
Go ahead.
where are we going?
We're on
Number
5.
7's before me, and I might want to comment on that. I don't know if you were going to take comments
Sure, absolutely.
during that time, then I'll save my comments for that. I don't want to be left out if you vote on that. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Seeing and hearing none. Update on wastewater project, Jared.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Enclosed in your packets this evening is pay estimate 17 for the regionalization project. The pay estimate is in the amount of $264,644.55. That represents approximately 88% of the project. And if you don't mind, Mayor, maybe I'll give an update on where we're at with the status.
Please.
The contractor has been testing pumps, generators. The Broadway lift station is scheduled to be started up on Thursday, so that'll be moving forward. The remaining panels, latest word we received today, end of May, early June is when those will be in. So then we can finalize a lot of the connections and the integration with the SCADA system and everything like that. Tentatively, best estimate at this point, we're looking at sometime in, contractors anticipating sometime in August to be moving flow towards St. Cloud. So project continues to progress, and with that, we're recommending approval of pay estimate 17, and I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
What do we know as far as more information with the holding pond, or what that looks like?
Sure, yeah, so staff met to review some potentials associated with the decommissioning. A couple ideas that came up we're looking into a little bit further to make sure that it's possible. I know there were previous discussions as it related to potential stormwater and wetland uses and things of that nature. So those items are being investigated, but the process, it was a number of months ago that I shared. Ultimately, we need to determine what the anticipated use is going to be for that property so we can write that decommissioning report appropriately. So, sure.
I mean, a comment on that, I would like to see us look into the wetland bank to be able to leverage that for wetland credits.
Yep, and we're working with our environmental staff. I know there were some conversations that were shared previously from the TEP that might not be an ideal location for that. But we're trying to understand the root of that cause, so we'll have that information shortly. I think some of it has to do with the soil location, and then the other component associated with that is the existing vegetation around it. Wetland banks are relatively sensitive. If you have cattails and reed canary grass that could potentially infiltrate into this new wetland bank, those aren't high value wetlands, so a little more digging needs to be done on that.
Sure, thanks.
You bet.
Any other questions for Jared? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve pay application 17.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all for say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you, Jared. Consider approve Benton County SLF ARPA funds agreement. I think that's Sarah's department.
Yep, I had provided a template agreement. There has been very few, besides just some dates and names and stuff changed on this. But this is the agreement. The county wishes to transfer $500,000 of ARPA funding for housing infrastructure costs. So this was presented a number of months ago. We've looked at some concepts on the south side. This basically would formalize that arrangement so that we could transfer those funds. We would match those with our existing ARPA funds and some additional cash and reserves, and use this primarily focused on water and sewer is what the county wants, because it's very specific for, they want housing for water and sewer. Water and sewer is outlined in the SLRF federal guidelines, so we have to follow that very closely as well. There was some information that was requested from the county that's attached to this agreement. What we have determined is, like we had talked about at the city level, looking at that south side housing, but also opening up if there are additional projects. First come, first serve. This money has to move quickly. Has to be spent by 2026. So whatever we do, we want to make sure we have plans in place that can move fairly quickly and get the infrastructure installed and paid for in that time.
Couple things. Does it need to be physically funded or just scheduled to be spent by 2026?
Needs to be allocated in 2024 and spent and done in 2026.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Paid
like
to
it
whoever.
has to be installed physically in the ground.
Okay.
Yep.
And we're not, and then to circle back on the second question, we are not locked into necessarily using it for the south side. If something else comes up,
Correct.
we can spend it
Correct. Yeah.
wherever the opportunity might lie.
The concern, the reason we went down the south side, which we had numerous discussions on, was because of the timing.
Yep.
And that short timeline. And then also just what the housing study came out with, just the dire need of units in
Yep.
Foley. So, but no, it could be opened up to anything. Any potential developers that have called or inquired, what I have indicated is you need to provide me a pro forma, something that shows your numbers, why they're not working, and then the council can allocate that on a first come, first served basis. But I did tell them, I said, we're going to spend it quickly if we have a viable project. Because that's what the county is requiring.
Sure. That means use it or lose it.
Exactly,
And
yeah, they don't
so-
wanna send it back either, and,
Right.
and because the county did that countywide housing study, they prefer it to be used for housing in Foley, that's just what the desire of the
And we,
commissioners
and we
was.
got the largest amount of money out of all of the cities.
Mhm. Yep, because they
So-
that's what they wanted it for,
Yeah.
They know we haven't been able to construct a new home in so long. I have a question though. I'm not hearing anything about senior housing. And that's real frustrating. And even if you talk townhomes, those are generally multi-level, that's not senior housing. And I wanna hear something pretty darn soon about senior housing.
I mean, it's up to the developer. A developer
I
is the
know.
one who's gonna decide, ultimately. We don't get to dictate to somebody, a developer, to say, you have to build this. The developer has to find the dire need. Now, we can suggest that we'd like to see some, maybe patio homes, some transition housing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, it's gonna be up to the developer to come in and say, yeah, I'll build senior focused housing, or maybe even senior apartments. Again, transition, maybe not necessarily for folks that might be in wheelchairs or other handicap folks that need more attention than that. But yeah, I don't feel that there's any anyone turning an eye to it. I think it's just a matter, at this point, anything would be better than what we've had in the last 10 years.
Yep.
And the hopes would be that we see this development, and we see more development, and we see more development, and we start requesting or asking for them to consider that.
Well, our seniors are dying with nowhere to live.
You're right. Oh yeah. And our
I mean,
housing study, and our housing study shows
word
that.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow there's got to be a way to pay attention. There's got to be.
The housing study lists that out very clearly. So for the developers that are looking into the housing study and actually doing their due diligence, can quite clearly see that there is a demand for it, and if they build it, they will likely fill it. And so it's just a matter of that developer, making themselves known.
Well, don't we have developers in Minnesota that dedicate to senior housing? Can't we talk to them? How did we get the developers for the 40 units?
I don't think we do yet.
Say that again, was the question?
Okay, we don't have that. Okay, that answers the question that I
At least that's my impression. I don't think we have any.
We're selling the lots for the 40 units.
Oh, you're talking about the south side?
I'm talking about, did a developer come to us and say, we want 40, we want that spot, or we would really like to build housing?
We have had developers that are interested in building homes. They are not interested in putting in infrastructure. So there's some interest there, but we laid that out, the engineer laid out that concept.
And I get that, but did they come to us and say, well, we might be? Or how is this, if it's a developer, what's he developing if we're putting in infrastructure and all of that? What's he building?
So the hope is you put the infrastructure in and we sell the lots outright to the builder or the individual buyer. That would be the end goal of this.
But we don't have that. There's no developer identified yet.
Nobody.
Right. Nope. It is not a typical practice for the city to act as a developer. Right. But because of our unique circumstances with the high cost of infrastructure and the county expressing interest in supporting us, that's why we're looking at this project.
And we own the land.
We own the land, and it's very high ground. Compared to, if you look at an aerial with wetlands, it's a much better piece. As far as buildable, we have a lot of issues with wetlands in our locations as well.
I mean, if you heard or saw, what we would refer to as Town's Edge has been officially listed for sale. 130 some odd acres available. That's a lot of development, both commercially and residentially. I would be hard pressed to believe that we wouldn't have opportunity to, apartments, patio homes, developments on top of developments. That's a lot of land. And so this particular south side is unique in, again, we own it. There's a time stamp on it, essentially, with this money, if we wanted to spend it on that. To say now that it couldn't be patio homes, sure, it could be. If that's what the developer wants, maybe that's cheaper. It probably is cheaper to do patio homes. I think it's just a matter of first identifying what we can do with it, making sure that it's okay to do it, and then from there, developers approach us and say, yeah, we'll build.
So when we did that concept, that was just a rough concept to try to see how many units could go in here. Because we're seeing this demand based on the study, of a lot of units. But we are working through a wetland delineation. That's gonna tell us a lot too. If there are any that we need to avoid, concept will then have to be, tweaked and and that's the same with any development. We have informed the Town's Edge owners, they are well aware of this program, I have talked to them about it for months, of this potential. There's some other people that have called about it since it hit the papers. We are still offering that to those as potential. I just, from a staff perspective, you know, you asked us how can we best, what are our options to utilize the funding and to take advantage of this? So that's what we're doing.
Right, yeah.
We're trying to give ourselves options.
If I had it my way, it would, Town's Edge would be what we developed, first and foremost. But if there's an opportunity to at least do something and build, so our, you know, increasing our sewer capacity isn't all for nothing, and we're gonna get some gifted funds to help do so, we gotta, you know, just get creative and act. Now, whether that's the right idea or not is to be determined. Like she said, wetland delineation, the landscape of what we do there could drastically change based off of the original concepts.
I'm just saying, I wanna see some encouragement to go back to seniors that ask me, where the hell am I gonna go? I wanna be able to say, you know, right now, we have to work towards that. And this is what we're doing. I don't like telling them we're not doing jack. Because they're the ones, we have people in their 90s selling the home they're born in and having to move to Sartell. That's not a good sign. And we're not doing anything to encourage them.
Yeah, we need housing. We need all of it, no doubt. 100% agree.
Yeah, and the other thing that we had a discussion at EDA this past week, and we also talked about the importance of adding more housing units also causes shifting. So maybe some of those smaller, like ramblers, people might shift to a different home. Maybe they have a growing family. Those smaller ramblers also might become available as transition housing that, you know, for the seniors maybe coming off of the farm, outskirts, whatever. We need senior housing. We also need additional units. And you know, we're just navigating the landscape right now. It's very expensive to build apartment complex.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
I heard it all, but you're not saying anything to me. You're not ringing true to me. You're ringing excuses. I want to know how we can do it, what we need to do. Do we contact HUD? Because Dewey Place is full all the time. I want to hear something. And I'm never hearing senior housing. And that's frustrating me because the people who walk up to me in the grocery store and on the street are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And are you hearing, are they looking for patio homes? Are they looking for apartments?
Patio homes is what most of them have looked at, like over in Cold Spring, they put in a big patio, well, not a big patio home area, but they're there. And they know. And, you know, I know people that moved that didn't want to move. But they couldn't get, and I told them that's because of our housing moratorium. That's got nothing to do with the city. But at this point in time, I want to be able to tell them, we're working on it. And I don't feel like we've been working on it.
Well, we can work on it, but at what price are they willing to pay? Because we were at a workshop in Sauk Rapids, and they said it's $320,000 is what you're gonna end up with.
A starter home.
Starter, yeah, for a
Bi-level.
patio
So,
slab on grade.
Patio style, I mean, if that's the number they're looking at, there'll be plenty of those.
That is the concern with the one level living is it's just more expensive. And right now to rough those, you figure in land prices, you figure in infrastructure, you're talking 6 figures for a lot.
Well, then look at senior apartments with an elevator in the apartments. There are options to patio homes.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the south side would be ideal for
No,
senior
I-
apartments.
I
That would be
agree,
Towns
it's too
Edge.
far away from town,
But
but.
yes, I feel like we have more of a subsidized situation and, cause senior living isn't the situation, it's also affordable housing. Yeah, I wouldn't say that, our area, the 70, 80, and 90-year-olds are sitting well and can go afford brand-new homes. Maybe some, but I wouldn't say that's probably the majority.
No, I know that.
And so,
There's options.
Yeah, we are working, the problem is, we've worked with a number of the estimates, the costs of the apartment buildings are expensive. And then to try to make the numbers work, you're talking 5 stories. Well, then elevators are mandatory, then you have fire protection issues, the whole commercial building code comes into play. So then their costs go up leaps and bounds. That's the concern. We've been working an inquiry for a year and a half on an area, and the pricing is just so high. They're probably gonna come forward with a TIF, which we'll consider, but right now, the gap, they're hoping some of these prices will slow down or come down a bit. But it's just some of the codes and some of the expense is we just haven't been able to get anybody to bite on it. It's just too expensive.
I'm just saying, I just wanna hear something positive at some point in time. I know it's expensive. And I know we're doing what we need to do, but I want to be able to go back and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. And I'm not feeling that. I know it's expensive. Everybody who lives and breathes in the United States of America knows it's expensive. But we gotta let them know there's hope. That's all I wanna talk about it.
All right. Jim, did you have something to say on this subject? Being you were up here earlier?
I'm gonna start out a little negative, so I'll probably catch heck from Deb. 30 years ago, I put in a budget for this town $100,000. And, of course, the council looked at me, what are you up to now? And I says, that's to build the fence. And they said, what fence? I says, Foley is designed at that time for 2,500 people. State stuff kicked in if you had more than 2,500 people. So they laughed, they threw it out. I mean, it took it as a joke. But nobody looks at what a city can afford. We found that out. We put in Lang Estates, it cost us $20 million as residents. We didn't need that sewer capacity for what we had. I'm sure we need a water tower, because I think we needed a water tower before I retired, and we kept putting it off. So you can talk infrastructure costs and that, but I'm sitting home retired now, subsidizing every single family house that will get built. These funds are strictly housing. Anybody in the real world under the table in the closet will tell you houses do not pay enough in taxes. Cities normally put in industrial parks so you get the double tax to afford the house. I just want you to at least look at that part of a project. If you take it, at the time with Lang Estates, and this is for anybody, those houses down there probably paid $1,500 in taxes. 500 school, 500 county, 500 city. The developer's standing here at the podium, I'm doing the greatest thing for you guys, give me this, let's do that. Question and answer time, and I says, if it's such a great deal, how come you're giving it to the city? Why wouldn't you keep that? Dragging up all that tax money. For $50,000 a year, he wouldn't take it. Well, it costs more than that, he said. I said, that's all we're getting out of it, it's $50,000. And the other 2,000 people that live here are gonna help subsidize the rest of that as the city grows and needs more employees and things go up, garbage rates go up, whatever. So it's great, she's getting 500,000 or the city, I don't know enough about that, I just know, that's why I got on the agenda. Because when we built the ponds in 1990, we had to buy the house that was out there on 51 in order to even get that 160 acres. And then we rented it back to the guy, because if the city owned it, then PCA didn't care. And now you wanna put nice $300,000 homes next to a wastewater pond, 2 miles by road, no trails, no shoulders on the road. They're gonna be in here every year wanting another $10,000 to get access to at least a sidewalk so they can make it back to town. It's just, I can't believe somebody picked that spot. Yes, the best spot's towns, the highest spot around here is Tom Henry's land on the north side of 23. If they're not ready, they're not ready. But is the city, is the 2,700 people here now ready to afford dishing up more in taxes to put something that far out from Timbuktu? That's where I'm coming. It isn't that it's needed. Councilman Deb complaining about seniors, I've heard that for the last 20 years. Farmer sells his land, wants to move to town, we have nothing. But a developer normally does residential. Cities build industrial parks which pay more taxes. So take 500,000 or whatever it is, it'll probably cost me whatever, $400 or $500 a year in my taxes to subsidize that as it gets built. Who's really coming out ahead? I know we need people supposedly for the school, and we can spend $10 million on an addition to the school. You know, but just look at the big picture. I'm not against growth. Everybody wants some growth. There's houses turning over, as was said. But yeah, there isn't any place for people my age to retire. I've looked at, in all honesty, if COVID went to hit, I would have tore down my house and put a patio home there. And it's putting away money and doing stuff. But to stick 30 homes out there that they won't be standing here every day complaining, smell, too far to town. You got towns, when they're ready, they're ready. And if the market isn't trying to come up with affordable housing, which you can't build affordable housing, that's the worst term in the nation, we all know that. They pass all the extra codes, and then they wanted you to build an affordable house, which they just added 80,000 to. So, and then the other thing that triggered me want to be on, so I'm getting ahead of myself, is when I read in the Benton County News that staff was too busy to double up on the getting garbage quotes. Who's running this project? The city. So there's another how many $1,000 staff time paying somebody to run a program. And the other bad example I got, we're standing in the building. We got $100,000 when this building was built for the library. That was a grant, so that grant affected the whole building. All said and done, Rich and I sat down and went through the numbers. That $100,000, we actually come out $10,000. 90,000 of it was increased paperwork, increased requirements throughout the rest of the building. Perception looked great. We got a grant to help build City Hall. And the perception of not doing the garbage to the public, I thought was terrible, reading that, well, we're just gonna negotiate. So, you know, I'm jumping 2 subjects, but then maybe I'll be done. That's my quick response. Got questions?
I agree a lot with what you're saying. However, any developer that comes out here looking at industry out there in the commercial, the first question they ask, do you have housing affordable or here for my people to live?
But nobody does, and everybody's mobile.
We don't,
And
well,
they
I know.
They
I bet
change
that,
jobs in 2 years anyway.
But, you know, that's the thing we're confronted with a lot of
No,
times.
it used to be, get the industry, the people will come, now the industry wants the people there. I've been in 17 states in the last 3 months. I don't think they can go 100 feet without a help wanted sign.
Yeah.
I know I haven't been in a restaurant for 5 weeks every night. Most time the restaurant's 1/3 full, one waitress, I'm running the whole place. Yeah, we could take more people. So I wrote that excuse off because you gotta pay more, which you're finding out in the garbage rates.
Yep.
That's what a trucker gets, but it's a screwed up world. But I don't think the city should be in real estate business. And I don't think we're gonna come out ahead. Well, we're not. Run some numbers. Somebody must do better math than me, but I know what's happened in all the other developments in my last 50 years. And when you really sit down, you don't wanna hear the truth. So there's a fine balance in there on what does work and doesn't, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are we, do we need a motion?
You need a motion to approve the agreement if you wish to move forward.
Is there any more discussion on this?
And again, worst case scenario, we just, if we do nothing at all with it, we just give it back. Is that essentially how it works?
I would be cautious on that because, if we do know we're not going to spend it, we need to let the county know so that they can try to allocate it elsewhere. Because that's a lot of money. They don't wanna send it back to the feds.
Right.
So, if we don't have any intention of spending it, how they allocate it to us, we need to communicate that. I think that's appropriate to maintain our relationship with them.
But we could use it on something other than the housing projects.
No,
No.
the county wants housing,
Okay.
and then they
All right.
specified water and sewer just because of the, federal standards
All right.
when it comes to spending it. That's a very easy one to spend it on.
Right, yeah.
But you gotta remember, the county is promoting housing too because they sponsored that housing study.
Right,
For
yep.
us.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's on the same thing, Councilmember Deb, been questioning housing. Gary, you should have went through it, you've been on enough in the past. For the audience, Dewey Place, apartments out by the nursing home and that's been referenced. The federal government it was called Section 8 housing. And they had funding, and that's how all that stuff got built, or we wouldn't even got it built back then. Those programs disappear, they don't bring them back, and that's why there's no developers doing housing, so it's,
20, 30 years ago, it was
When the
easy.
government spends some money with what they want you to do instead of just tell you to do it.
Yeah.
It gets done. But now they're just telling you, hey, do it on your own, then it doesn't become affordable. The developers don't get a kickback, shall I say, to build that type, and you're at market rates with the general public. So if that wasn't clear by anybody, I don't mean to be. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'd be looking for a motion to, approve Benton County SLFRF ARPA funds agreement.
So moved.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all four say aye.
Aye.
Against? Nay. Motion carried. Deborah Olson.
Hello, Deborah Olson, 600 Dewey Street. So I'm here to discuss the ambiguity of some of our ordinances and the self-serving interpretation of such ordinances. Particularly, I'm speaking about fences. So of course, I get a little letter from the police department wanting my snow fence taken down. And if you look at what Sarah had kindly enough brought to the attention of the council, her little asterisk on number 10, either the city needs a little lesson in grammar and English because it's a contradictory statement. So when you're saying snow fencing will not be allowed except snow stop fences, technically there is no such thing. A snow fence is a label or a name that they put on those plastic fences to deter snow. And you will see that there are other cities that right in their definition will have a separate statement on snow fences. Our closest neighbor, Malacca, has such a statement in their ordinance where it says, and it's specifically separated out from general residential fence regulations. So they still call it snow fence, may be erected for snow control from October until the end of April. Well, and ours says November 1st to April 1st. Well, if you go through and your Minnesota DNR and you also have other entities obtained from the Applied Climate Information System, so snow accumulation typically will begin around October 21st. Well, if I'm looking at putting in a temporary snow prohibitor, the ground is becoming frozen by November 1st. I'm not going to get those removable stakes into the ground to hold up that barrier. And so also from the climatology in Minnesota DNR, the latest snowfall is April 23rd. Well, if you just remember, our March had a terrible snowstorm. So if my snow fence was down, my sidewalk would be constantly blocked in. And that's just it. That's snow fence, and why do you need one? So if you get hit with the heavy snowfall each year, a snow fence may give you some relief. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get some relief. But then it wasted our police chief's time to take a picture of my snow fence that was still up past April 1st. Where instead, I guess we aren't that neighborly in Foley that somebody could have just dropped me a line saying, oh, by the way, could you take down your snow fence? Because here number 10 shows April 1st, it should be down. No, you send me a 10-page letter, which is ridiculous. I think it was a very waste of time for Katie. And I like and admire Katie. I don't mind if she comes over, but that was a waste of time. So I would like to see that wording on our fences, number 10, to be very specific. Snow fence, residential fencing, so that there is no confusion as to when and where and how you can put up a temporary snow prohibitor. Thank you.
What dates would you like to see?
I was gonna say, I feel like that wasn't the argument you had.
Yeah,
You want the dates adjusted.
I start putting my snow fence up, and this is the 3rd year I've done it. I begin in the middle of October. Normally I would have had it gone by April 1st, but we had our snowstorm. And so why not mirror what Malacca has, October until end of April.
I don't have a problem you putting the
Okay.
stakes in earlier.
Yeah.
Put the snow fence up when the date comes.
Can
Put the
you
stakes in.
Add that to,
No frost.
It needs to be worded better in our ordinance. When you say, except snow stop fences, that, you just said no snow fences will be allowed, but then you say snow stop fences. It's contradictory. It needs to be clear and concise.
So if we
So
just,
you don't have people like me coming back and bitching about it.
so if we just reword number 10 is what would be,
Number
That would
10
pacify
needs
you?
to be cleaned up.
okay,
but do you also want the dates changed?
I would like the dates changed to the October to end of April. We've got what your,
Sure, makes sense.
you've got
Snows
your
early and snows late.
specialists that look at those. Why not go by their recommendations? They've got the maps, they've got the charts. I looked at them. Thank you.
thank you.
You can refer this back to the planning commission. Deborah, we have a planning commission and instead,
No, thank you.
this is where we decide this stuff. That's what we have a planning commission for, and we're always looking for people to be on it.
And I said, no, thank you. Would you like to have my schedule? I doubt it.
We all have schedules.
That's right. I'm not trying to fit one more thing into my schedule.
I think we are safe to address this situation later, being it's not October yet, and get it reworded correctly. Jim, did you have anything else?
No.
Thank you. Department reports, police, Katie McMillan.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll start off with our stat report for the month of April. We had 382 calls of service. Speed enforcement was up, and child complaints were up. Our SRO has been extremely busy at the school, and there is prom on Saturday, so he is coming in to work that also. Suspicious activity calls are up. Lots of people, and it's proactive, and people are calling in suspicious activity also, which we encourage. If you see something that's suspicious, call us and let us know. We can always look into that. We do not mind doing that. Animal complaints, we had 18 again. I just wanted to point out to those, most of those are stemming from one address that we have been addressing in town quite frequently. We are working with the county attorney's office on what we can do, because the citations for dog running at large does not seem to be affecting them. So we are working on that one. Civil calls are up, and that's your child custody disputes and civil matters. So far this month, we have had 90 calls for service, and it is day 7. Then I'll have the bike rodeo is June 15th at Lions Park from 10 to 1 for ages 10 and under. You all are encouraged to come out. I know in the past I've asked a couple council members to come and help with the drawing for at 1 o'clock. The kids are all entered into a prize drawing. If you are able to come out, I appreciate that. It's a free event for the kids this year. However, Fairview Hospital are not able to come out and give out the helmets like they have in the past. But Central Care is coming out, and we're doing the fittings at least, so then we can tell parents what helmet size to get their kids. And again, if I didn't mention, free event for the kids 10 and under. And that is all I have, I believe, unless you have something for me.
How are the squads?
Good. The 2021 got new tires and oil changed today, and so that is, and they cleaned out the brakes really good, so hopefully they don't squeak for a while. And the 19 is working good. It just does not have the AC in it. Other than that, spare is working great and doing good.
How many helmets do you usually go through?
Last year, how Fairview did it is that if a kid came and they needed a different helmet for it was too small or it was damaged, then they gave them a new one. So not every kid got a brand new helmet, but I would say probably we had 142 kids attend last year, probably 90 got helmets. I mean, I have the numbers up from Fairview in my office, but.
Anyone else? If not, thank you. City Engineer Jared Griffith.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight I just have a couple updates for you. First being the Southside project. We do intend to have that wetland delineation completed, at least the field evaluation portion of that this month, weather permitting, obviously, but that's our goal, to have that completed by the end of the month here. Also, on May 3rd, we submitted the PPL applications for City of Foley, which included the water treatment facility and the lead service projects that are coming up. And then last would be the 2025 project. I just want to provide another reminder that we have our neighborhood informational meeting on Wednesday, May 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. And then the week following that would be our improvement hearing for that project. And that is all I have tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
You sure that was in your schedule, on the memo?
The improvement hearing could be added.
May 29th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any kind of a plan drawn up yet, so the people that are involved can look at it?
There are figures in the feasibility study, yes, as far as an actual design.
I can't listen that fast, so.
Sorry. Figures in the feasibility study were created. There isn't a plan and profile, stuff like that created for, that's in the design process.
So there's actually gonna be dimensions on a sheet of paper?
Yeah, yeah.
You answered that pretty slow. There will
I'm trying to remember where we had the dimensions at, but yeah, there are sheets that show street width, sidewalk width, boulevard width, typical sections. Now as far as full design profile, that hasn't been done yet.
Any other questions for Jared?
Can I just piggyback?
Sure.
I just want the council to know too, in addition, we did submit federal applications for water treatment with Tom Emmer's office, Amy Klobuchar, and Tina Smith. So I worked with Jared, the SCH staff, and we got all those finalized last week. So a bunch of information, hoping that, you know, we may, if we move forward with that project, qualify for some federal funding too.
Is there any number that would be associated with that help?
Is it like 6 million?
As far as what
A request?
requested, yeah.
Yeah, I think it
believe
was 6 million we requested, like 50%.
That's a grant, or is that?
That would be like a federal appropriation.
Nice.
I mean, that's what we requested. We don't know
Yeah,
what
you're
we're
not gonna
gonna
get that, but at least you tried. All right. Anyone else for Jared? Thank you. Public Works, Fire, Mark Pappenfuss.
Mayor and council, in your packet you got, we talked last month about the compost site, if you wanna add further out there. I see Central called to locate in this morning, so we should be getting power, I would think, out there in the next week or two, and then we'll get Design Electric out there to do their part. But then this, I was asked to get this price for a lock system out there. It's in your packet. Do gotta disclose, this does not include the card reader that goes out where the cards get it, and some bollards there. You could have another $500, I'd say, if you're gonna have another, you know, you could be up to 3,000. But he did not redo the estimate with that. Our compost budget is gone for the year, but if we wanna front it or whatever, you know, this will be the last of the expenses out there. It should be the bigger expenses for a while.
I would like to wait till next year for the compost budget again then, and then go forward with that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels.
So what is, what would be happening with this $2,400? Is this to add the card reader?
Yeah.
So right now, it's just a hand gate that you guys open and close currently?
Right now, 'cause there's no power.
And
But
there,
there will be, once we have power, like we can put a door opener in the vehicles, or there's a code over on the side. We could have that code. But I'm sure we're gonna be buying 6, 8, 10 door openers, so when we open, when it's closed in the evenings, they can just.
so right now, someone from your staff will go physically open the door,
And right now, PD closes at night,
okay? And are we open Monday,
3 days a week.
3 days?
Yeah, it's been open more, but our schedule is 3 days a week.
Okay. Cause we reduced hours because there was some funny business, correct? Like,
We
you know,
actually increased hours.
No increased hours.
okay.
I don't see that number changing drastically in a year. That's why I'd rather just wait on that.
So is power part of this?
No, power was
Power was
approved
already
last month.
approved and
That's already there.
Power is done.
This is just the card reader.
card
To
reader,
add
like we have
the-
on the doors here.
Sure.
We asked Mark last month to come
Okay.
up with a number for us to see how little or much it would cost.
Okay.
I was like comparing to the neighboring cities, we are already open more than most of them are. A lot of them are 2 days. So, either way,
I guess the end goal of this would be it's still gonna be open Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. If we went with the card reader, at some point, a resident could purchase a fob, and that would allow you access 7 days a week.
Essentially, I suppose, yeah. Do we have cameras out?
just one.
But I'm sure it's like anything, it would be from a set time. You can't go out there at 2 in the morning.
Sure, yeah.
Does that make sense? And as the cop show up, you go, I got a fob, I'm good.
So, I mean, it's better than what we had. So, I mean, do you feel that we can get through doing it this way for this year and then?
Either way, it does, if we want more hours, I'd like to do this. If we're gonna hold what we have,
I'm not concerned about the hours, so if we just wanna keep it the way it is and table this for next year, okay.
Since it's not in the budget since the
yeah,
budget
that's
is
why I
gone.
disclosed, we maxed our budget
Yeah.
out there. I mean, I'm gonna have less grinding this year, but
I'll go along with the mayor. Let's wait,
Yeah, we
see
can
what
wait.
next year's budget's gonna be. It'll still work
yeah.
where we're operating it now.
Good with that?
Yes.
Then, we had sent out the CASA County State Aid Highway Agreement. We've had one for years with them. 3 years ago, they gave us more duties and the price went up, and this year gave us some more duties, and the price didn't go up. I was told there's gonna be no negotiations of prices. I did hear today that some other cities in the county are disputing it and are gonna go to negotiations with the county. So one of two options, either we approve the wording and let the price, or we just table this and bring it back next month. I think if the other cities are gonna get an increase, we should get an increase. So,
Yep.
I don't think we should improve the price. You know, if you wanna approve the rest, it's up to you, but if you wanna just say everything waits for June, I don't think it's gonna be a make or break of anything there either.
So can't even talk. 43, what street is that?
4th Avenue,
4th Avenue, that's gonna get in 25.
but that's not out of the, that's separate.
Is that gonna grow, Jared? Is that, or the same width?
Same width, yep.
Okay.
Footprint will
And
be
it's
the same.
driving lane, not road width.
And then, with that said, you're gonna add more sidewalk, correct?
No,
Not on Fourth,
Not on 4th?
no,
Just-
that already has sidewalk on both sides.
It already has on both sides, so,
and they don't
That's-
maintain sidewalks anyhow.
okay. I would recommend waiting and seeing if, I would think the other city's gonna come back, and it's not gonna be a stagnant number all 3 years for inflation.
Is that what we tell them we wanna?
Well, that's what I kinda said right away.
No,
I mean,
agree with-
that's.
I was told no at first is why I said put it in, but now all of a sudden I hear, oh, we do have a chance to do appeal, or not appeal, but.
So do we approve the wording? We can't even approve the wording, cause if the number changes, that'd be foolish to approve the wording.
Table it?
I make the motion, we table this.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, any discussion? All four say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Two things I don't.
motion carried.
You know?
I did already cross it out.
Other than that, not much more, so I am good.
Thanks.
How many openings do you have in the fire department with retirement?
3,
3 short?
1.5 right now, 3, 4, so make 4. 22, 21. So make 4.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything for Mark? City Administrator Sarah Brunn.
Okay, we just finished up with audit, we'll expect that presentation in June. I wanna request if the council is, okay with it, I met with Midco last year, regarding some fiber, options at the municipal pool. Internet options, they are willing to sponsor a free Wi-Fi if they can logistically get it to work, as long as we would advertise that they're sponsoring the free Wi-Fi. So I'd like your permission to move forward with that. I think because of the community pool and the location, they think it'd be a good activity for them to be a part of. I think it's a great deal to look into, so if you're okay with that, I'm gonna move ahead and see what we can do.
Would that allow for us to do credit card processing?
That's what I'm hoping, so. So the next part of my conversation is we are starting the transition for our accounting software.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen over the next 12 to 16 weeks. So, when we get that new payment processing and those things, we will look at that as well. Because we do get that request a lot at the pool for, swimming lessons particularly. So if there's any concerns, let me know, otherwise I would like to move forward, and it seems like Mark and I think it's a good option to look into. I also wanna let you know, we are going to, Mark and I are working on, we have to update our sewer use code. That is required as part of our arrangement and agreement with City of St. Cloud. So, we're working through that. It's a very long, boring code. But the attorney and Mark and I are working through that. You'll probably see that next month. We also have to adopt an enforcement action plan, as part of the contract with St. Cloud. So you're gonna see those items come forward next month. There's a lot there, but we'll get through it. And St. Cloud's been great to work with in answering questions and making sure we get this set up. We are really focusing on setting it up. We have to be as strict as them, but we're trying to make it, as similar to theirs as possible so that updates can be handled efficiently moving forward. You also probably heard, in the news that St. Cloud's looking to replace the Metro force main. We are a part of that force main, and they are working through a process now to approve their bids. So I'll give you that information once we have it. They haven't finalized it at their city council meeting yet. They're looking at a different alternative pipe. And we have been a part of these meetings, and a part of this discussion. But once we have those final numbers, I'll let you know that. But if you do read that in the paper, yes, we are a part of it. We're 2.8% of it, actually. And we'll have a cost associated with that we will have to pay in as part of our monthly bill. I think what else? We're gonna be getting ready for election judge training. That's gonna start happening, in June. And if you do have any interested individuals, I could take a couple more election judges, so if there's somebody that you talk to that might be interested, send them my way. We have options to train in person, online, but it's always good to have new faces if we can get them, so let me know if you hear that. And I think the other thing is we're just gearing up for the pool. Lessons will be, all of them will be online, available to look at, I think tomorrow or the next day. I think Sarah finished uploading them today. We got a lot of applicants for lifeguards this year, a lot. So it's a great year for that. So we're really excited. We may need to do some WSI training to get some teachers trained up, but really excited for a good year at the pool. Hopefully the weather cooperates. And then we had approved Emma before she's coming back as manager. So I think you'll see a lot of familiar faces out there this year.
Are we staying the same as far as wages?
No, we will increase it like the, minimum wage increases, we increase it by 50 cents again. I'll probably have those next meeting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and same with Public Works. Because the minimum wage keeps moving, we usually keep moving with it. Anything else that you got on your side? Think you're gonna hire a couple, 2, 3 possibly?
2.5 maybe.
Otherwise, if you have questions for me.
Anyone have
Lot going
questions for
on.
Sarah? Hearing none, thank you. Old business, update on garbage contract.
Do
Well,
you wanna recap?
I can. So, we had a workshop before the regular scheduled council meeting tonight, and is that still confidential information or not?
That's open now, yeah,
Okay.
to the start of the meeting, yeah.
So, we are going to, or I feel we should go with RFP and have it bid, because the rate, was gonna go up 33%. So your $57 bill every quarter was gonna become $85 for your garbage. And the commercial side was same or more?
A little bit.
I mean, a little more,
Just
but
a little
it's
more.
same, I mean,
They pay a higher.
percentage-wise,
They pay a
yes.
higher tax, so if it goes up, it's 17% tax,
Yeah.
goes up. That was my feeling, I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that.
Yeah, I mean, not to say I don't feel like we're not gonna get less or the same that we pay today. We're just gonna hope to maybe get less, right? And even that's a hope, than what the renegotiated terms came back. And I will say cheapest is not best. You know, if one is $2 cheaper, that doesn't mean that it's better. There's a cost associated with everything and every decision that we make. But given the amount of the increase, it makes sense that we go RFP, just to, if anything, show that inflation has affected truly everything. And price of garbage is gonna go up no matter what.
Anyone else?
So I do need clarification, if you wish, by a vote, to go to RFP, and then also if you wish to include residential and commercial, or just residential, so that I'm clear with what we write.
I think if we put the bids out there, we should have it bid both ways, just residential and both. Let those that need the commercial, if it's feasible, that it doesn't raise the residential rates too high. 'Cause I'm
Okay,
sure that,
could you clarify that for me? So you want them to provide a residential only option and then a residential and commercial?
right.
Okay,
So if it's feasible, I'd drop the commercial and let them get their own. That's where we seem we were having most of the problem.
that is probably one of the
That's
biggest.
our biggest complaint, the cost of.
Yep, and
the
the
commercial.
choice, a lot of the
Yeah.
commercials want options.
However, I would like to be able to regulate days, times, and pickup. So we
So-
don't have them coming in every
We-
day.
We can do that even without a commercial contract.
Okay.
We can regulate them by ordinance, we can require them to have a permit and set permit conditions.
Okay.
I did speak to the attorney and he said those are all options, so if you wanna have a contract on this, there's a lot of flexibility as far as how we regulate the
Okay.
haulers. So if that is something that, if you keep it open and you want it only 3 days a week, we can put those terms in.
As far as if a person has 3 days of pickup a week, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like we could say, like, you can only come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
Or we could say you can't come in, you can't make extra, we want you to come into town and pick everybody up at one day, whatever, we can make some terms on that.
And still keep the cleanup day, like that, in
Okay.
the RFP.
Well, if you go with that has to be residential and commercial.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that has to be both.
Otherwise it's
No, curbside
No.
cleanup is only for the residential.
No,
Okay.
but I mean, as far as the contract, he said if it was just like if they only get the residential, or a individual only gets residential, then might not include the cleanup day.
You still could require it as part of the RFP to be included. I'm just saying that is, like, providers, from what my conversations are, is they wanna have a contract when providing that cleanup day, cause that's a significant
Okay.
undertaking too. No, we could keep that in there. I would agree with keeping it in there.
Anyone else have anything they would like added or subtracted to it? Go ahead, Sarah.
So, people are very, very upset about the garbage thing, and people really like Republic, but once they found out that there was another interested garbage provider, people were really upset that no one wanted to open it up for an RFP just because they didn't want to deal with paperwork, if I quote that right.
Yeah.
So before you vote, please consider that people are okay, they understand with inflation and stuff, but what they're not okay with is, oh, no, you're interested, we don't care, so.
That's what we're talking.
That's what we're talking
That's what
about,
we're gonna do.
but the
That's
same
what we're gonna
sense.
do.
Go ahead, yeah.
I mean,
If we approve the contract, I'd have 10 or 12 people in here going, how can you just go ahead and approve the contract at a 33% increase? So that's what we're looking at.
There's interested parties, and I'm sure there's other providers.
And there might be 10 of them show up
that
to bid it,
we
so,
owe it to other people,
correct.
so, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, plus or minus? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna just throw, you guys wanna keep it with one hauler, cause the public safety part of it is a great thing, the way you have it now. Okay, so now all of a sudden, I understand the industrial park's not a big deal, but all the businesses downtown, so now you got all the garbage trucks going up and down. Say you would let 4 haulers in, well, that's 4 garbage trucks and 4 recycler trucks. So you got 8 trucks when you used to have 2. I'm gonna suggest that you wanna keep it that way for your public safety and your street maintenance. I mean, the industrial park, like I said, that's not as big of a deal, cause the roads are heavier, obviously, but the downtown stuff, is a lot better for the community. I mean, you guys do what you want, but it's just better for, like I said, the safety and the streets.
I agree with you 100%, but we wanna try and make those commercial people happy,
Yeah,
if
but
that's
what
possible.
you were getting charged before, there's a reason
Yeah,
that
yeah,
everything was
yeah.
met.
I mean, it's just a thought. Some are doing it, getting by with it. I think we should look at both options.
Yeah, we're paying more regardless. It doesn't matter who does it, who we go with. It's going to be more than it is today,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna be much. I'd be hard pressed to believe it's gonna be cheaper than what they even presented today.
Right.
So,
I think we're gonna see an increase in the residential if we don't go with the same company picking up commercial.
Hans?
If you go out for RFPs, will there be any concern with, I guess, choosing a provider before the current contract expires at the end of next month?
That's my next, that's why I put on the agenda about the tentative meeting,
Yep.
For the
yeah.
17th, is that right? Or-
Would we just be able to add the second meeting as needed?
Yeah, that's why I put that on
Yep.
the agenda, because, we need to move on this.
Yeah, it's gotta be addressed.
Yeah.
I've already kind of roughed in some stuff with the RFP, just with the possibility of that. So that, I'll have to just hammer that out, and then we'll get that, to you guys for approval, but then, yeah, we have to move quickly on this. And it might be another special meeting or a continuation of a meeting if we have to make that decision. Cause it is a process to turn over haulers. It is quite a process.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a process
You
for
have
the
to-
constituents than it is
Yep, I mean,
doing
cause that's,
some paperwork, I'll tell you that right
like our
now.
water sewer and council, like, 900 water sewer billings we
Yep.
send over, they
Get
all
your-
have to change over, so it's a
Mhm.
undertaking,
It's it's not just paperwork.
yeah.
Anyone else?
So we need a motion on that?
I would need a motion, and then I just want it clear what you want included in that RFP, cause like I said, we wanna make sure that's right, and how you want it when we move it forward, so. With your motion, please clarify that.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we open up the garbage contract for RFP with residential and commercial, and residential only. And making sure that we have our cleanup day in there.
Curbside cleanup in the fall.
Yep, cleanup in the fall.
Do you want the existing terms with the fund days dumpsters and the
Yes.
citywide dumpsters provided?
Yes.
Okay.
I think what else was there?
What is the scouts thing?
It's their own deal.
That has nothing to do with our contract?
No, they have to work with Republic.
Okay.
Republic has just extended, I think, some discounts to them,
They
you
get a
know.
donation from Republic for working that, don't they?
We provide a cost, is it just me or is this really ringing? We provide pay them to conduct the cleanup, but then they work with Republic, and I think Republic does help them out with some of that. Just based on the relationship we had.
Anything else to add?
Making sure I got it covered.
Okay. Motion's been made, is there a second?
Second.
Any other for discussion? If not, all four say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. New business, probably gonna schedule that workshop, the 21st?
Is that what it is? Is it the 21st?
Yep.
Oh. Do you think we could move that up a week?
As in like the 14th?
Well, the only reason I say that is because just to try to get it out, and back. That's still a tight timeline.
So move it up as in the 28th.
Or is there like a Friday we could just do a special meeting? Yeah, like the 14th, or like if anyone was available, like in the morning of a Friday morning or something. I know sometimes that's when council stops in. Does that work for anybody?
Works for me.
Make it work.
Friday after 11 works for me.
So like, could we do the 17th
Sure.
at 11?
Will we already have bids back by then?
No, I'm saying to approve the RFP.
Oh, yeah, do that as soon as you need to.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking if we do the 14th, the 17th, so if I can get that all in place, and I, like, hopefully get it to the attorney and back in time.
Sure.
So we can get it approved. So the 14th or the 17th? Which one's, is
So you want it earlier?
Let's do it earlier if we can.
the 14th? Okay, should we do the 14th, and at what time? Do you wanna do 5:30, or do you wanna do,
That's on a Friday?
That's a
No, it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday, just be a week from now? Does that work,
We're doing
5:30? Do you want to do the same time, or do you wanna do it earlier or later, if you guys have something?
Makes
I'm
no difference here.
flexible.
I mean,
I'm flexible.
Whichever works.
5, 4:30?
Yeah, you guys, let me know.
5
I'm
work
here.
better for you than 4:30?
They'd be the same. I'd say if we do it earlier, the better. But mean,
I don't
so-
think it'll be too long, I really
Yeah.
don't think it'll be a long meeting.
5 o'clock on the 14th.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll get it done. And if, I guess if there's something else you wanna add, let me know, but I don't think it'll take more
You
than a
just need
half
3
hour.
of us, correct?
Really, I just need 3 of you.
10-4.
So if something comes up, let me know. I can, I'll email it out ahead of time so you can make sure.
Second open forum.
Oh,
I'm sorry, anyone else?
I have something under new business. We put in the budget this year for new, upgrade to the Lions Park bathrooms. I was able to get some material from where I work, and I will fabricate, the new tops for our bathrooms with, and the city will only be paying for the material. I will be donating my labor and to install it, and the materials, we go through a lot of it, so I got a really good deal. So, looks like, we'll be installing that on the 17th, I hope.
You have an estimate on the material costs or anything?
Not even,
Okay.
it's
All right.
$100 for the material and a little bit of glue, and the labor, like I said, is free. I'll be doing the
We need
labor
a
myself.
motion on that? No? Get, get her done.
Mark, did you install the Lions fountain and bench yet?
The Lions fountain was installed yesterday, and the bench, they poured the cement for yesterday. So I suppose we got it back here for 10 days
Yep.
before we can drill ink into it.
Great.
So,
Thanks.
Lions donated a new
Hmm?
Leo and.
The new Leo?
Yeah.
Any other new business? Anyone for a second open forum? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's made and second to adjourn. Any discussion? All four say aye.
Aye.
Up against? Meeting adjourned.
When are we gonna turn the switch? So over on this one,